today. As always, I am Mason. He is Gautham, and for the third time, we have Ryan Loutos. I would list his team, but he's had many of which we will talk about today. Currently in the Seattle Mariners organization. So, Ryan, thank you very, very much for joining us again today.
Thank you for inviting me back on. I appreciate it. I always enjoy the conversations.
So, I guess, first of all, it's been about a year since we've had you on the pod. How are you doing? How things been? Hectic is an acceptable answer.
Yeah, things are great. Happy my 2025, if you would have told me that it went the way it did, I would have said, all right, I'll take it, so I'm overall grateful. I think anytime you get put on waivers 3 times and picked up 3 times, it's a good thing. It means you're doing something right, at least for a few teams to pick you up. Um, so I'm grateful in that way, and I got to experience a lot of cool things. And um, do I feel allergic to travel and picking up my life? Yeah, definitely. I think Sarah and I this week, like, we just like basically just stayed home the whole week, like for the first time. And it was just such a weird week. I'm like, I feel like we need to be going somewhere. Like, sure, we don't need to go and travel somewhere, pack a bag or whatever. But no, like, it was nice. So enjoying some downtime right now after a lot of traveling and hotel hopping all summer.
Yeah, I can understand that. If you I know we've talked a little bit offline, but my winter last year was sort of similar to your summer, just
Mhm.
way less cool. So
All the experiences, I'm sure, the different. Yeah, I mean the experiences of traveling remain the same regardless of if it's for baseball or something else.
yeah,
So,
it's just what you're doing between the traveling is the difference. So
um, well, both stressful, I'm sure.
yeah, I mean, I can't complain too much. It doesn't change anything anyway, so what's the point? So, um, so before we get into the main bit of conversation here, I think we have just a handful of major transactions we probably should mention. The first of those being Munetaka Murakami has signed. He had, I think, 2 or 3 more days until his posting window was up. Today, he signed a 2-year, $34 million contract with the Chicago White Sox. So the massive slugger from Japan coming over at the age of 26. Gowie, Ryan, what do you guys think about the signing?
First off, I'm surprised that he signed with the White Sox. I'll say it. They must have done a really good, convincing job and given him, the right amount of money to sign with the White Sox, who are coming off some really tough seasons. Um, I think it was reported that some other teams had offers for more years, but maybe less money on an annual basis. But if he succeeds with the White Sox over 2 years, then both sides are going to be happy, and then he can go back to free agency at age 28 and probably score it big.
Yeah.
Was he in talks with a lot of other teams?
I'm guessing yes.
Yeah. Basically, every team, I think, was reaching out to him. He's got a little bit of an interesting profile as a hitter. So he has like Judge level power. It's just absolutely insane. And he actually, for his age 22 and 23 seasons in Japan, or 21, 22, I can't remember. He had like an obscenely low strikeout rate, like sub 10. And so it was like, this dude doesn't strike out. He hits the equivalent of like 60 home runs a season over there. But then the last 2 years, the strikeout rate's ballooned to like 20 something percent, and which isn't terrible, but I don't know how that translates between MPB and major leagues. So
I wonder why. Was there
yeah,
anything else that changed in his game?
not that I'm personally aware of. I haven't done too much digging. Ashley, I know you're here in the chat. If you've got any any feedback here that would be helpful, I'd appreciate it. But no, he's an incredibly high ceiling guy. But I think his floor is going to be a little bit, I don't want to say Joey Gallo-esque, because I don't think it's nearly that bad. Maybe Kyle Schwarber-ish. That seem reasonable, Gary?
Yeah, I think that makes sense because the power is prodigious. Like he literally has the record for most home runs in an NPB season. He hit 56 home runs a few years ago. So if he can do anything like that, I mean, that's you can live with a high 20% strikeout rate if you got that kind of power.
Yeah. But my question is a okay, actually it's 30% strikeout rate. When it was low, it was like 20. So that was when he had his big season. It was 20.9%, and he walked 19.3, which kind of makes sense if you're hitting 56 home runs. But now it's like 30 and 15. Okay. So, but have you had? Well, you were in the Dodgers organization for a bit this year, and I know that they do tend to have a lot of guys that come over from Korea, Japan, that end up going through their system for obvious reasons. But did you get to interface with too many guys that have made the transition? Have they talked about like what is the big difference?
Yeah, I've never really had enough time to. I've only had more of the conversations between guys who I know that played over there and then came back, or versus like American guys, rather than guys who are just coming to the United States from Korea or Japan. Um, the Dodgers, like I played with Kim. I don't know how to say his first name. Yeah, Haesung Kim, I think.
Haesung.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I never really got a chance to talk to anybody about that. Just more of talking about the transition between going from like AAA MLB to Korea or Japan, more on that side, especially like pitchers.
Yeah. Well, and like Miles did this and then came back, and so like pitching wise, was there anything that he mentioned like, oh, that's a big strikeout league, or that's everyone makes contact, there's not a ton of strikeouts?
Yeah, the game is different. I mean, from what I've heard, it's a lot more contact based and speed based than it is how the US, obviously the MLB has become. Now they're trying to bring back the speed based, obviously, with the rules changes and pickoffs and stealing bags and all that stuff. But yeah, I think it is harder to strike guys out for sure. I've heard that Korea is, similar to AAA-esque baseball, around there, and I've heard that Japan is like definitely better than Korea, competition wise. Maybe not quite to the level of MLB, but it's pretty solid.
I was gonna say it definitely seems like it's almost like like some people talk about like quad A guys. It's almost like it's a quint A, where it's better than quad A, but still like you might struggle a little bit to make the transition. But a lot of the guys that do it are talented enough to do it. They just have to make the adjustments. So
for sure. I mean, yeah, even yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what's it's interesting just how the culture creates a different game. Like you think that the game's the same, but yet growing up in a completely different country just makes the game also be a very different thing. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
Well, we're a country of monster trucks and skyscrapers and all these big things, so it makes sense that we want home runs. So
yeah, it also depends on I think I've heard California college baseball is very small ball oriented. It's like even within the country we have different factions of the game, where I think in others, maybe in Texas or other places, it's a little bit more home run based or power based than it is on the West Coast.
I mean, that makes sense. Like you hear a lot about like the guys going through the draft now that like it seems like Oregon, UCLA, USC, they have a lot of the like the middle infield contact guys. and then a lot of the power guys are coming from these SEC teams or Vandy or Georgia, some of those places. So
Arkansas,
kind of makes sense.
For sure.
Let's see, the other big transaction that happened, by the way, is Wilson Contreras getting traded from St. Louis over to Boston for Hunter Dobbins and 2 other pitching prospects. So Chaim Bloom is definitely making some changes there in St. Louis. Don't know that it's going to be all that fun to watch this year. So we'll have to see.
It seems like he's just in like complete cutting cost mode. Like, just, doing whatever he can to cut costs. And I don't know if he's going to take more of the Rays approach when he was there, where it's like, we're just going to we're going to do everything internally. We're going to get all these guys from the minor leagues. We're going to use them until we have to pay them, and then we're going to send them off somewhere else.
I kind of feel like it's going to start that way, and then it'll adapt a little bit to where you can pay a player or two, and kind of, I think they're ultimately what DeWitt is trying to do, I think, is get back to that like 2010 to 2015 range, where it's like we're drafting guys that are under slot, that are kind of overlooked, turning them into guys like Matt Carpenter, and then we'll end up paying the ones that work out really well for us. Because Yachty made pretty good amount of money in his career. Waino made a lot of money in his career, so it's not like they're afraid to spend, but it definitely seems like they're going to go that route more than paying Wilson $80 million for 5 years, extending Arenado to whatever that contract was, 280 for, I don't remember what that one was, but it definitely feels like they're going more that way.
Yeah, it's always fun. Like, I wish it was always fun when I do get a chance to like talk to front office people, because as observers of the game, and even as a player, it's this black box that makes decisions, and we're all trying to figure out why, and most of the time we're probably wrong, but it's fun to do so and try to make sense of it all, even though the answer is probably something a little bit different, or there's information that we don't know about that aligns with that decision, that when you look at it that way, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, like.
Yeah. So I actually know DJ Svilik, the old director of scouting for the Marlins under Kim Ng.
Okay.
And I've been trying to get him to come on the pod here, but it's like I really want to talk to him now that he's no longer in the game. Like, what is that happening that none of us know? Because
I couldn't tell you. There's all these conversations. I'm sure there's a lot of things that can't even get disseminated that far, right? Like, if the owners want to do something and they relay that to the president of baseball ops and the GM, they're not necessarily relaying that to everyone else. They just have to be the fall man for those decisions,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure that there's levels to it all for sure.
So
I think Chaim Bloom is definitely not like hiding his strategy, though. It's very clear that he's trying to bring lots of pitchers into his organization based on the trades of Sonny Gray and now Wilson. It's like more arms. Just bring them on.
And the other thing that Chaim is doing that Mo was not when Mo was trying to figure out how to do all this is Chaim is going out basically every time they make a move like this and holding a press conference and being like, yes, we understand that this is going to make this year not all that fun. Here's why I'm doing it. Here's XYZ. And so Chaim has been a lot more open. And I think Cardinals fans kind of demand a little bit more openness. It's like there's parasocial relationships, and then there's Cardinal fans. Like, it's our team. You got to tell us what you're doing, because if we don't like it, well, we're going to yell at you for years. So,
yeah, I don't like, I know there's nothing worse than just someone giving you like the PR answer for something that is just not the case, right? So honesty and transparency is always appreciated.
Yeah.
Especially in that regard. So,
and I'm guessing that on your side of it, there's not really a whole lot of explanations to you guys on moves like that either, right? It's just equally a black box.
Yeah, I mean, I think in my position, I'm not really privy to those decisions because they're not a lot of times they're not really like if I know the reasons for things, they're not it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't help. It's not like a beneficial thing. It's more like I'd like to know at some point just for the sake of knowing, I guess, or maybe after my career it'd be nice, right? But it doesn't all I know is that you're in the situation you're in and you gotta make the most of it. So, it's like why the Cardinals DFA'd me, not some other guy, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to know. And I'll never probably have the exact answer, but that's you can just make assumptions or why the Mariners claim me or why this team claimed me or all that stuff.
Um, which Gowie, unless there's any other transactions, I feel like that maybe is a pretty good transition to the main thing today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Are you,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all right. So, I guess you can take this any way you want, but when you look back at this season, and I was looking at your transactions page before we started here, it's pretty crazy. There's all
Okay.
kinds of moves that have like you literally have to like press a button to see more transactions to see the full list from 2025. But what's like a word that comes to mind first and why?
Just like thinking about my year.
Think about your year, yeah.
Um, Uncomfortable. I don't know. Instability. Those are a couple of words that I would come up with. Um, and I think the reason of the uncomfortableness is because I felt like the moment that I got comfortable in any situation, I had to be uprooted and completely relearn. It's like I was moving constantly. It's like when I went, there was a sense of comfort with the Cardinals, obviously, like being there in Memphis and everything. But I kind of had a weird start to the year. I was going through some um, little injuries, like a couple back things that popped up, um, and then I got DFA'd, traded to the Dodgers. That's uncomfortable, right? I went from being with the Cardinals to now the Dodgers, who are just coming off the off season of signing every mega superstar that you can think of, and it's a whole different org. And now I'm going to Oklahoma City, and it's just like a new a new thing, right? And I get comfortable there. Go up the first time, go down. Didn't really feel like myself. Go back up again. Felt like myself a little bit. A lot more up in the big leagues. Like started to get to know guys a little more, both in OKC and in LA. And bam, DFA'd again. It's like, all right, I gotta go meet a whole other new set of guys and new other organization. 2 days into it, before I just right when I'm starting to get settled in Rochester and kind of, you know, getting to know some guys, bam, get called up. All right, new team now for a few weeks, get sent down. By the time I get to the hotel, I get a call saying that I might be reactivated for the next day, and I get reactivated the next day, and whatever. It's just chaos the rest of the year. And obviously, I got comfortable in Rochester and in DC. I will say, like the whole second half of the year did feel a lot more comfortable, but still just bouncing around a ton and living out of a suitcase the whole year. Never really got a chance to like nest anywhere. So, and you just once you find some routine and you get uprooted and have to leave that routine. But it's a good everything that I went through during the year was a good practice and good things for the rest of my life. So just learning how to deal with all that.
So I know that you really only had a couple years there in the minors, and so in one of them you did four. I think it was four levels all in 1 year, right? You went from low A all the way to triple.
Or
So
high A to triple.
A
High
to
A.
triple. Okay. Um, I know all the moving there, and then just like the typical minor league grind as well. was this comparable to that? Was this entirely different? Like how would you compare those two things?
Good question. Similar in a lot of ways. I mean, in that year, in 2022, I started out the year in high A, then double A, then triple A, and then I went to the fall league. Um, so wore a lot of different uniforms, wore a lot of different hats that year. And then this year, it was like Memphis to OKC to LA to Rochester to DC, right? So 5 different teams. So in a way, it was similar. I'm just dealing with new managers, new pitching coaches, new teammates, new guys to talk to in the bullpen, new routines, new facilities constantly. So yeah, in a way, there was there was a lot of similarities to that year because 2023 and 2024 were pretty stable overall.
Yeah, I
Um,
think 23 you started at double, went back to triple, and then you were just there basically the whole time, right?
mhm. Yep, I was there the whole time, and then and then in 24, yeah, like obviously I had 3 short stints in the big leagues. Um, and that I was in Memphis the whole year, so there was some sense of comfort and stability there. Um, but yeah, I've only had like 1 year in the minors where like I lived in one like apartment like the whole time, and I was like 23, where I was pretty much in the same apartment the whole year outside of my time in Double A. So that's been the annoying part is like the amount of times I've had to just like uproot an apartment or wherever I was staying. So I'm traveling pretty minimally these days now.
Yeah, so it's basically just you, Sarah, and the dog, right?
No dog
No
yet.
dog.
There wants a dog, but no dog yet. Yeah.
Okay, so
We do have a
Louis is
dog at
back with your
home.
parents then.
Louis is with my parents. Yes,
Okay,
yes, correct. So when we first did the podcast a couple years ago, that was um, with I Louis was at my parents' house, but then yeah, the last 2 years, Sarah and I have been here in an apartment.
okay, gotcha. So, um, I listened to a couple other podcasts and stuff that you were on here this off season. One of them, I'll give a shout out here. Oh, whoops, did not mean to do that. Cardinals on My Time. It's a relatively new podcast for anyone who's listening. It was a really good conversation you had there with those guys. I know that one of the things that they asked you about was kind of your pitch mix. And there was a little bit of an interesting conversation there, and I kind of wanted to just talk maybe a little bit more about that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So, looking at anything that is claiming to be pitch tracking, whatever, Baseball Savant, I think Fangraphs probably takes that data from Baseball Savant. They have you as having 5 pitches: a
Mhm.
four seamer, a slider, a changeup, and then very minimally used a sweeper and a sinker. So, is it fair to assume that the sweeper and the sinker are misreads?
It's fair to assume that I'm just not very consistent at what I do. So hence the misclassifications for things. And I'm also not very consistent year to year on the pitches that I throw. Um, every year, for whatever reason, when I come to spring training and start the year, it's like my arsenal just feels different. It's just it's like, I don't know if it's because I live in the cold and I'm throwing indoors in the off season, but every year it's like I got to go and refine some off speed pitches or whatever it is. So there's some overlap year to year. Um, but this year I threw fastball, four seams, and sinkers. Occasionally blend, but my sinker generally has more run. My four seam has run by itself. It's pretty dead zone metrically. Change up I've had for the last year and a half. Slider and sweeper, it just depends on the year. So, like, if you ask me in April of 2024 versus July of 2025 versus October of 2025, they're all going to be slightly different answers. So, I started off the year, I couldn't really figure out my slider, and then I found like a death ball grip that turned into like more of a gyro straight down ball, which was really good for me. Got a lot of swing and miss. And then at the last week of the year, I started messing around with trying to do both the death ball and more of like a horizontally breaking slider, like true sweeper, but trying to get something moving to the left. So what I'm trying to do at the moment is throw two different sliders, calling one a curveball, one a slider, but really they're kind of just two hard sliders that hopefully kind of move in different directions.
Gotcha. So um, I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit. The Mariners organization does really love guys with the slider. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty obvious, isn't it, Gowie? That like they've got guys that are throwing like 40, 50% sliders, and so kind of seems like that might be a good move. But
Yeah, I think that's it's funny you do things and you make decisions during the year and then like I started throwing that slider like the last week I was with the Dodgers and I got some swing and miss on it. It was projecting pretty it was like, okay, this might be something. And then the Nationals picked me up and that was one of the reasons why. You know, that flagged well for them and they wanted me to throw it more. And I started to tick up percentage a little bit, but I wasn't super consistent with it. I was still learning it. And I used to be a high four seam, percentage guy. So yeah, and then when the Mariners picked me up, like my first thought was like, they're just gonna have me try to throw 60% sliders and see what happens.
so have they like is there much conversation between you and some of their development guys on like things to work on with your mix of what they're looking for? Or I know that you've mentioned before that different organizations have different levels of communication with you. Some of them just kind of let you do your own thing.
Yeah, um, not a ton yet. I got a call from someone in their front office. Got a call, at least at least one or two calls, a few text messages. Dan Wilson gave me a call because we actually went to the same high school. Um, so that was cool. Got to just small talk a little bit. And then talking to like the nutritionist and strength coach and stuff, but very minimally. Off-season talk is usually pretty minimal in general, and then you come to spring training, and then it's like we have all these ideas for you,
Yeah. And speaking
Yeah,
of
so I
61
guess
days
like
till spring training games, we're getting
Oh
close.
wow,
Mhm.
getting close. It happens fast. That's crazy. I felt like the world. I was just watching Game 7.
yeah.
This whole season's so long.
Yeah.
So you
It's a
kind of
long
hit on
year. It's
you
all year.
started talking about this, but like did did any organization that you were with this year, did they ask you to do something that like directly conflicted with what another organization said? And I mean, you don't have to go into the specifics of it, but like does that happen in general or was there even time for them to give you that type of um guidance?
No, all three orgs had me doing different things. Nothing conflicted. The Cardinals, we were trying to get my slider back more horizontal and consistent, and we were struggling with it, but we were trying. And then with the Dodgers, we kind of continued that path, but then we changed to focusing more on my mechanics and getting, which actually helped a lot. And then my velo ticked back up, um, which was great when I was with them. So that kind of unlocked some things for me. Um, and then obviously I left there after throwing that new slider in 3 outings. Left there, went to the Nationals. They really liked my slider, um, but nothing that they had me try to do or whatever was conflicting um, with any of those things. It was just, yeah, keep throwing my slider. So it was kind of just like a natural progression. So
So it's a little bit more like whenever you're working with like a golf coach that he's not going to try and teach you to swing your club like this. He's going to look at what you're doing and go, "Okay, maybe make this tiny tweak and see what it does." There's no like
yeah,
major, "Oh,
yeah,
your
no
arm
one.
slot is
I think
6
it's
degrees off."
yeah. I never got sent to Florida or Arizona, and they're like, we need to reinvent something. We got, that happens to some guys, right? I think it was Edwin Diaz's brother with he got signed by the Dodgers or traded by the Dodgers or claimed by them, went right to Arizona, to basically work on stuff for 2 weeks, and then got sent to OKC and then the big leagues and all that stuff. So um, it happens. I never
I
had
was
that
gonna say
experience though.
Alec Manoa had it happen twice, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it happens. In my position though, what makes me valuable is being able to go anywhere at any time. So that's kind of that's part of it.
and generally, you're pretty available. You haven't had too many big or too many injuries, anything like that. I know you mentioned you were dealing with just a couple of small things, but I did you actually have a stint on the IL this year?
No, knock on wood. I mean, I have not had an IL stint yet. Um, I'm sure we all go. Everyone seems like they have an IL stint at some point. But I had a couple things pop up throughout the year where I had to maybe not be available on a couple days in the minors. Nothing too crazy though. Um, I had some back spasms that I had to be down for maybe 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row, but nothing. But I was able to pitch later that week, and then I had some shoulder. I was dealing with some shoulder impingement stuff, but all stuff that I could manage with treatment and arm care and trainers and stuff like that. So
So that's a
thankfully
really big
stayed
plus
off
there
though.
too. So,
Hopefully I can maintain that.
yeah,
It's harder each year. It gets a little bit harder.
I can imagine. I sit in a chair most of the time, and my knee just gives out constantly. So I I'm very jealous of you, I think is the polite way to say that. But
Appreciate that.
So I guess one of the things that I think is I hope you I guess got this experience, but you get to see like how different organizations do things a little bit differently. Obviously, they're not all going to do it the same way. There's going to be a lot of similarities, but on that like workload and maybe like recovery sides, was there something that you saw that was different or something you learned from the various organizations you were with?
Mm, not a ton. I wish I could give you a better answer. There differences. I would say like the Dodgers felt like they just they just had a lot of resources. They seemed very like I really learned a lot and liked working with all of the Dodgers um, personnel. They were all very smart. There was also just a lot of them, and I think that was beneficial. Having two pitching coaches that was like, which is not a crazy thing, like a lot of orgs do, but I sandwiched that with the Cardinals and the Nationals, and where they only had one pitching coach in AAA and one trainer in AAA and one hitting coach, where the Dodgers had two pitching coaches and two hitting coaches and two trainers and two strength coaches. Like it was a whole lot different, which that's becoming more of the standard anyway. But that was the bigger difference there. They also the Dodgers very much like I enjoyed working with their strength coaches. They were very much like individualizing my training and correctives and things like that. And I really like bought into some of the things that they were having me do, which was great. Um, Nationals felt like they were like understaffed. I think kind of they ran kind of a slim, like a slimmer team. Same thing. That's how the Cardinals were for
yeah,
most of
just
my time when
running
I was
really
there.
lean, trying to watch that spend.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and um, yeah, running really lean, which is the Cardinals have been changing that obviously in the last like year or two. So then, but I never really got to like see that come to its with the transition, obviously with Heim now.
yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say. Like the Nationals felt like they were a couple years behind the Cardinals, and the Dodgers were felt like they were in another level,
So
money wise,
that's
especially.
kind of what it seems like to us too. So glad that
Yeah,
it actually follows. I think that it's actually um, a really good thing to
segue.
hear that if you actually do change your organization in a certain way, it does actually work. Because I think some of these smaller teams might start to buy in and think that maybe they can actually, compete. Because from a fan side, it seems ridiculous. Like I think the Cardinals prior to Heim taking over had the fewest um, instructors in any organization. They had four roving instructors, and the Mets, I believe, had the most at 14. The Dodgers were up there, and like you could just kind of see like who's actually putting in the work to help people get better, and who's
Hmm.
kind of just looking for talent and then hoping that that talent can figure it out themselves.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I loved working with all the Cardinals people. I felt like they were just short staffed all the time. Like they were just always spread thin. You know, I didn't feel like that with the Dodgers. Like they worked hard, but there was also a lot of them, so they could do more. They could they had the ability to like work with you one on one more because they can delegate to the other guy. Um, but yeah, that's a good interpretation of the Cardinals. I would say that's how it felt too. Like it was like they signed me, and then it's like they didn't. It's like they're just letting me figure it out, and they're like moving me up through the levels because I was doing well, and kind of how it went, and I got to work with pitching coach like Darwin Marrero for a few years in a row, and he was awesome. Like he's a good friend of mine, and so like we got pretty close and worked closely together. But he was just overworked too. It's like he can only do so much, right? He's trying to help everyone, and he cares so much. But it's only one guy, and it's a tough job to only have one guy do it.
Yeah. Which I imagine it would also be incredibly difficult to hire people for those roles because there's so few people who are able to do what a pitching coach does. Like I could sit there and watch you throw the same pitch 19 times and I'm not going to notice any difference unless you like spike one into the dirt.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's hard, but there's a lot of good people that I think want to get into professional baseball. So um, I think it's it's a hard job and it requires a certain set of skills. But I feel like the game has also like s- slowly. It was kind of a guarded fraternity where coaches were always ex players, and that's not always the case anymore, which is a good thing. Um, I think I value most when a guy has knows his stuff and also did it. Like that is the ideal combination. But it doesn't have to be that way because there's lots of guys who just because they play doesn't make them a good coach. And just because they know their stuff doesn't make them a good coach either. Like
Ryan
it's a hard
Sandberg.
job. Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to that way, but
Ryan Sandberg was just not a very good manager at all.
manager. Okay, I gotcha. Um, so yeah, I think it's not just because you did it means you're going to be good coaching it, and just because you have the knowledge, it doesn't mean you're going to be good at spreading that knowledge. So and
Yeah.
managing people. Um, yeah,
So another big difference that from the outside I see about the three teams that you were with this year, and then the team you're going to here, um, hopefully in a month and a half, um, is the Dodgers are old as far as a baseball team is concerned. Like they're they have like two guys on the entire roster under the age of 30 or something like that. The Nationals are crazy young. And then the Cardinals are somewhere in between. Is there
mhm.
like the culture? There's got to be like big cultural differences as well. Do those cultural differences from that play into some of the coaching and decision making as well? Like I would assume Dave Roberts is an old school manager. I don't know who the manager of the Nats is right now because it's not still Davey, right?
No, he got fired, and then it was Miguel Cairo, and then I don't, and then they hired new Blake Butera, I think, from the Rays, something like that.
Okay, yeah,
But that's a good. No, you guys are reading the black box of these baseball teams pretty well, I will say, from the outside. You're doing, that's very accurate. I felt very comfortable with the Nationals because of how young we were. I didn't feel like an imposter. Felt like I was right where I belonged, especially like the last 3 day. I had like a 3 day stint right after the trade deadline
Mhm.
in the big leagues, and we broke the record for the amount of like hits and runs given up in a weekend against the Milwaukee Brewers. Um, and but I'm looking around, like I'm looking left and right, and our bullpen is the oldest guy is 27. The oldest guy is 27 in the bullpen. Like, you know, it, we were in a tough spot facing the hottest team in baseball at the time. Like, it wasn't like that unsurprising. Like, we should have put up a better fight than that. But it wasn't that unsurprising what happened because we were literally like, I'm looking around, it was 23, 24, 25, 26 year olds and maybe one 27-year-old. So in a way, that was like a comforting thing, though. It was like I didn't feel like an imposter. I felt like we were all in this struggle and trying to figure this thing out together, which was cool. With the Dodgers, it was the opposite. All great guys, but all guys that I'm like I watched on TV and admired. So it's a different beast and different experience. Um, just getting to know Alex Vesia and Anthony Banda and Tanner Scott and um, Kirby Yates, just like all these guys, right? Like it was a different experience being in that bullpen for sure. Now we had a couple young guys too, like Conspiracious and Jack Dreyer, so that helped, as well as some guys going up and down in OKC. So I felt like I did feel a little bit of an imposter syndrome being in that like clubhouse, just because of like the way that they were perceived by the game of baseball as being this super team, right? So,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm on this team right now. I'm active on the roster. I'm active on the Dodgers roster. Like, really? Like it's all understandable feelings, right? Probably went into why I didn't pitch that great for them, but like that's just part of the experience, and
How
that's
does
how you
that go?
grow. And
Like when you get to a new clubhouse or a new team, like, hey guys, I'm the new guy. Do you meet everybody on the team, or do you just kind of keep to yourself?
Usually, like people are very helpful. Staff very helpful about showing you around or telling you about the schedule or where to be and when. And usually someone will walk you around and introduce you to everyone. Usually all the guys will see a new face, and it's kind of like when you see a new face in a clubhouse. Generally, you go up and introduce yourself as a player. So if I'm if I'm in Rochester or wherever in Memphis and a new guy gets called up from Double A that I don't know, or we claim a guy or trade a guy, I'm gonna go up and say hi and introduce myself, and then I'll get talking to him at some point and get to know him a little bit. And that's how most guys approach it. Obviously, not everyone is equally friendly, but the vast majority of guys are pretty friendly. So it's not super intimidating overall once you get to know some guys. Um, it's not always fun though. Even though I've gone through it so many times now, it's still like it's just like it kind of gets old. But of just trying to get comfortable with new guys again because you're just meeting people constantly, um, and you're in a new environment and with it like I'm on a you show up in the Dodgers clubhouse and you're like I don't want to do the wrong thing or I don't want to be the new guy that steps on that guy's toes over there or whatever. Like you don't want to get in that guy's way. And even though that guy probably wouldn't care, he's probably a cool guy. But it's just
You just don't
it's
know.
kind of like the feelings of it. Yeah, for sure.
So does it help having guys in some of these clubhouses that you've at least like been to spring training with on other teams? Because like with the Dodgers, you'd played in spring training with Tommy. With the Nats, you played in spring training with Paul DeYoung. And so does that
Yes.
help having those guys that are at least somewhat familiar faces?
A little bit, yeah. Like I've gotten to know Tommy a little bit. Yeah, just through spring training and him rehabbing at times, and even the short time in the big leagues with the Cardinals. And then same thing with Paul DeYoung. I put like he was optioned down in Memphis when I first got there. So like, I didn't get to know him like on like a deep level, but like very friendly with each other. So
Was
yeah, definitely,
was
it
Yepes
definitely
there
helps.
this year when you were there, or was he already gone?
He was in Rochester. He was in Rochester. Yeah.
Okay.
So he got DFA'd like middle of the year or something like that, and then cleared waivers and was in Rochester the rest of the year. But yeah, having some familiar face always helps because then it's like you got questions. That's the first guy you go to.
It makes sense. see. I had another
I guess
question.
just
Yeah.
I'll ask a question. So switching gears a little bit, looking forward to your next season. It's coming very soon, as Mason mentioned. What's something that you're not changing that you want to do that you did last year?
Good question. Um, I'm not really gonna change my slider, like the slider that I started throwing, like the whole pretty much middle of May onward. I'm not really changing that slider. I'm changing, trying to get better at throwing it in good spots and throwing it more. But I'm not trying to change anything to the movement of that pitch. Like it's pitch was 86 to 90, up to 8 inches of vertical movement. It was just seemed, and it got a lot of swing and miss, even in the big leagues. So not as much swing and miss as it did in AAA, but it still got swing and miss, which was sweet. I never have had a swing and miss slider like that. It was so much fun being able to throw that pitch, So that's I'm gonna try to keep building on that pitch. So I'm not changing it, just kind of building on it. And then there's some routine stuff with my arm care that I don't really want to change. That I got into some good routines with my arm care in the second half of the year that really helped me manage my shoulder impingement. So that'll hopefully help me prevent that from happening again this year. So like some arm care routines for sure.
What's something not on the like performance side, more just with your day to day, not knowing what's going to happen next year? What's something that you're maybe looking forward to changing about like the day to day stuff? Like, because it sounds like you just kind of were a bit overwhelmed at times this year with all the traveling and stuff. I'm guessing once you got back to the apartment, you kind of just hung out until you had to go and do it again the next day. Are you looking forward to like doing anything this year in some of your travels?
Yeah. No, I mean, ideally, I have more stability, right? Ideally, I'm in Seattle and I can get an apartment and have a place to like call home. And I was just talking to Sarah. She got me like I've gotten more and more into coffee. So she got me a pour over coffee
Is it a Chemex?
setup, like a Chemex. It is a Chemex,
Heck
yes.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
and
also a big coffee nerd, so
okay, yeah. So I love coffee. I travel with an AeroPress generally, but I which works well if it's easy to fit in my suitcase and everything. But I was like, man, I wish there was like a way I could travel with this easily or whatever. Because I'm gonna use it for the next month and a half, and then I'm gonna have to go back to the AeroPress, which is kind of sad. And then we were like, all right, well, maybe I'll bring it to spring training because I know I'll be there for a month and a half and not be moving around. But my cousin has a big suitcase. He travels for work a lot. That he travels with a pour over kit. So I don't know. We were just talking about that. So that'd be nice to be stable somewhere where I can have a pour over set up. That would
well,
be nice.
so the nice thing is about the Seattle system is as long as you're in their system, you're within the same metro area. Is Seattle
Yeah,
Tacoma
that's true.
are right there.
Right
So
there. Which that would be ideal. So hopefully that would be nice. But I don't even want like even if I'm still with Seattle by the time the season starts, if I get to Tacoma or I'm with Seattle, it's like I don't even want to get an apartment because I know I did that last year in Memphis, not thinking that I was going to get DFA'd by the Cardinals. That was completely off my radar that I was going to get DFA'd by that. And then when I did, I'm like, I got to get out of my lease, and which ended up being a fine, an easy transition, but it was just not something I want to deal with. So I ended up hotel hopping the rest of the year.
yeah, that's got to be
So we'll see.
odd, I guess, with because like I hadn't even considered like the having to cancel a lease and do all that while you're on a flight to Oklahoma City the next day.
Yeah, it's a pain. It's a pain in the butt, but you just navigate it. Or sometimes like you're getting optioned, and then you just feel like I'm always like trying to think about, wait, where am I gonna like? Sometimes I would come home after a road trip, and I'm like, where am I staying? I don't even know where I'm staying tonight. I gotta go. I gotta figure this out. I gotta talk to the Nationals and try to get a team discount at a hotel nearby or whatever it is. Um, so there were some times when I like flew in to Rochester this year, and I flew in, I landed, and I was like, got to get a hotel. Got to go figure that out now. And it's like 10 at night, you know? Thankfully, there's always something that you can find usually, but maybe not the spot that you wanted.
Yeah. I was gonna say I am the king of last minute travel planning, so if you ever run into that,
You
I
got it
got you.
done. Yeah, I'm sure we could have a nice comparison of hotel points. Uh,
I just got my Hilton Diamond. So
oh, nice. Okay,
yeah.
so I'm more of a Marriott guy myself, but so Hilton I didn't quite use as much, but I do. I'm not maybe Hilton Diamond, but I have to look. But Marriott is the one I used most this year.
Yeah, that 57-day stay that I had in Canada kind of pretty much just got me my diamond all in one go.
You have 57 straight days in one hotel room.
Yep.
Holy crap,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
like
That's
I said, last winter was a bit more similar to what you do than I think most people would expect.
57
So
days in one spot in Canada in the
in
winter.
Kamloops, British Columbia, is not a
In the
big
winter.
town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's in the
mean, and
desert, so
not
like the
getting
snow wasn't
sunlight
a problem. But
still, but not getting much sunlight in cold in one hotel room, just being confined, like, that's not easy.
it sucked a lot.
Yeah.
But hey, they have a WHL hockey team, so there's at least something to do.
Oh, there you go.
The guy
Yeah.
who owns the Dallas Stars is from there, so like the town is pretty nice for being a small town out there.
Oh,
But
that's sweet.
so this next question comes a little bit from a friend of mine. So his son is a shortstop and pitcher here at one of the local high schools. He actually just had a pretty big surgery to repair his torn labrum in his non-throwing arm. But
Mm.
recently he's been starting to just start throwing again because he can. I mean, obviously he's not going to hurt it within the sling or whatever. So, um, but he's been really, really struggling with confidence because he's not able to locate or release when he's trying to release. Is there any like small piece of wisdom that you have from maybe some of you got a couple days off from shoulder impingement and then you come back and you're just not sharp? What do you do to keep yourself from just beating yourself up and thinking that I just can't do this anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think I mean, there's a book that kind of I read probably every 6 months, or I read it a couple times at least during the season, the last couple of years, last few years, called The Inner Game of Tennis, and it's an awesome book. You wanna do anything physical, athletic based, skill based. It's really like if you're trying to accomplish any goal, there's a lot of tidbits in there. But one of the main premises of the book is changing the goal of sport and what we're doing to try to you're not instead of trying to win the outer game, throw strikes, score more points, strike out more guys, whatever it is, win the inner game in your head. So the goal, like me, for example, like I'm slowly trying to shift my goal, especially when I was in the big leagues. Like my goal is to just be as good as I could possibly be on the mountain today and be myself, not get in my own way. So that's what changed. And when I would leave the outing, it's like if I didn't have any negative thoughts, or if I was able to tame those negative thoughts, or if I was able to throw this pitch with conviction, even if I hit the guy, or give up a home run on it, or whatever it was, I can leave that outing feeling good about myself. And that's how it started to shift. Like there were times this year where I got absolutely shelled, but because of my goal shifting to focusing more on trying to win the game in my head and the goal of being throwing every pitch with confidence and conviction and not scared of where it goes or what the result is, It's like I threw 15 pitches today, and every single one of them, I can confidently say I gave it my best. I let it fly. I didn't hit my spot on any pitch. I gave up 3 home runs, but you know what? I won today because I did that. So that's kind of the shift that I've slowly tried to make, and I think that book highlights it. And it talked about how we have these two selves: the one that actually does the activity, and the one that judges, makes judgment based off of how you did. So the one self throws the ball, the other self then judges as was that good or bad. And the idea is you have to quiet down, quiet the one that does the judging, and let your body do what it knows how to do. So it's just about getting your mind getting your mind and your head, getting out of your own way more than anything. And that's been a huge shift and helpful for me. And just realizing that I whether how many days in the big leagues, how many strikeouts, how many wins, all the outer stats don't matter in the end, and that I have to keep my focus on becoming sharper mentally and becoming a better person through it. And when that's my goal, everything is great. It's hard to do, right? No matter what, it's a constant battle trying to win the inner game inside your head. But that's where the real fruit of sport lies. And it's so cool when you do have those moments where you overcome fear, overcome doubt, and go and achieve something because you won the inner game. And it's such a cool and awesome feeling. So I gave up 3 runs against the Mets this year when I was pitching for the Dodgers. I gave up a huge home run to Pete Alonso. And there's a really funny article in Fangraphs written about it. I don't know if you guys saw that or if I texted it to you, but look it up. It's about how pitchers need a chair after they give up long home runs. I'll send you the link. It's awesome. And it was inspired by me giving up that home run. And in that outing, though, my whole goal was to not get in my own way. My whole goal was just to absolutely let it fly, was to just feel all the fear, all the self-doubt, and just try to throw the fastball as hard as I can over the plate and just let the results be. And I gave up 3 runs in 2 innings, gave up a huge homer. Obviously, results don't look that great. But I left the outing, and I was talking to Sarah. I'm like, I feel pretty good. Like, I felt like myself. I won. To me, I won that outing. And I know the results weren't great, and that sucks, and I'm going to learn from that. But I won because I faced that fear and anxiety and self-doubt, and I know that my stuff was good that day. And that's what I was more worried about than the actual results. So that was cool. And that was a good example of kind of what I'm talking about.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna clip this bit and send it over to him because he's been struggling for a little bit here. So I actually asked him if he had any questions he wanted me to ask you, but he never got back to me. So I figured I'd throw that one in there. You did talking about the Mets game there. You actually did bring up something that I almost forgot to ask. So when you were with St. Louis and you got your 2 appearances there, you did not, unfortunately, get your first strikeout. You did get it this year. And one, I know you know who it is, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Do you know who you struck out?
Anderson?
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe it was the first batter you faced this year, too, wasn't it? Because that was to lead off the inning, I think.
No, I gave up a single, or an infield single.
Oh, to Moncada?
Honestly, I don't even remember. I just remember I threw a good changeup that he had a ground ball in the 6th hole, and he was safe at first, just barely, I think.
Okay.
And then I struck out Tim Anderson in the next batter.
So, growing up in Chicagoland, I imagine you watched Tim Anderson quite a bit, even though he's on the South Side and you grew up a Cubs fan. But I imagine you saw Tim Anderson a bit. Was that especially cool because you got to strike out a guy who was kind of a big deal in Chicago, and for your first strikeout, and because that on its own is massive? But
Yeah, I think more it was just getting the monkey off my back of having a big league strikeout. That was more cool. I don't think I valued. I know what you're saying, and I didn't really. I think when Tim Anderson was with the White Sox, like I was mostly in pro ball during that time, and maybe in college a little bit. And honestly, I wasn't really following pro baseball that much when I was in college, so it didn't have a super significant meaning to me at the time. Mainly because I was in St. Louis at WashU, I wasn't really following too much MLB. So, um, but I think it was more just cool getting the monkey off my back of getting the first big league strikeout, and then it was like, okay, I got one. Now we can kind of settle in and
So
go from
did
there.
you keep that ball, or does your dad have that ball?
I don't even have the ball. No one realized it was my first strikeout, so someone's got it. I don't know where it is,
Oh,
unfortunately, which kind of stinks. But I have a bunch of balls from my debut, but I don't have one for my first strikeout, unfortunately.
dang.
Might be out there, but probably not. That's all right.
Plus, Tim Anderson's really hard to strike out, so
I was
that's
gonna say
cool.
that's
Yeah,
that's also true.
I mean, he was having a tough. He had a tough year though this year, I will say. Um, is he even with anybody this year? Did he sign
I'm
with
not
anybody
sure.
yet?
I think he's a free agent right now, but let me check. He's a free agent currently.
Yeah.
He got released on. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Because you struck him out after that. It says he was released on the. Oh no, May 30th. Yeah. Okay. No, that's the same month. So yeah, he got released basically right after you struck him out, and so you may have ended his career.
That was it. It's just that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Oh,
But,
he struck out against Ryan Loutos. That's it. You
but
can't let that happen.
so, oh, I told you that I found one of your first one of ones that came out, right?
Yeah, the printing card or whatever.
Yeah, the
It's up
printing
there.
plate. So there's the two
Oh, cool.
graded cards on the third shelf from the top. It's the one right next to it.
Oh, very cool. That's awesome.
So it showed
Yeah,
up.
those cards are cool.
So,
Seeing your rainbow progress on, I think you posted on Reddit or something like that. It was pretty cool.
yeah, so I put it on
Um,
Reddit, Instagram. I actually have to update it because since that picture, I think I have 8 or 9 more that have come in.
Holy crap! Wow.
So they don't all fit in there right now. Is the problem? I have 4 of them sitting right here in front of me,
Nice.
but
How many more do you need?
too many.
Oh, really?
Too
Okay.
many. So the autograph, there's 18 of them total. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 of the 18 of the autographs. I'm missing
Okay.
the one of the out of 50s, both of the out of 25s, the out of 10, the out of 5, and then the one of 1. And then the other 3 printing plates, which I didn't count in that number. So I guess there's 23 different versions of the auto. There are 58 different versions of your Nats card.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Well, maybe
So
because they didn't have to have me. I didn't sign any of those, so
yeah, so
maybe
those are all
that's
just base cards. So this is actually what your Nats one looks like. So this
I
this
like the
is one of
Nats
the
card
parallels.
better.
But
Yeah, I actually like the Nats card better than the Cardinals card. I think.
yeah, you can actually tell it's you because the picture they used in the autograph one is like in the middle of a pitch and your face just looks a little bit distorted. So you can't even like tell that it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I like the Nats one. It's cool, yeah, being at the top of the lake and everything.
so we're at about an hour. Gowie, do you have any other questions, or Ryan, do you have any other topics you want to touch on, or?
No, you touched on my favorite thing to talk about, which is the mental game. So
Good
happy
deal.
you asked that question.
Yeah, really appreciate you sharing that. Mason, you were right. Ryan is very wise.
I told you.
Well, I know the right things to say. I'm not always good at doing them, so I've at least gotten that part down.
Well, that's
I'll
because
work
you're an
on the doing
engineer.
it part.
So
Yeah, that's true. Um, got some similarities there with you guys. So you know what it's like. You can just imagine yourself on the mound and what you'd be feeling, and I'm probably feeling the same thing.
So I guess I do have one more question, and we'll make this the last one, and then let you get back to what you're doing tonight. Um, what is your current side project engineering wise?
My current side project, engineering wise, um, I am working on a website to store all of my health related data. Um, so I currently just started using Whoop to track my sleep and recovery, and I have an API. So I just finished the um, like data processing and like syncing layer of my app so that um, all of my Whoop data gets into my own database. And now I'm just building out the user interface to have like a dashboard on my own health app.
So, and what are you building it on?
What am I building it on? Like it's a
Like
web
are you doing
application.
like in iOS, or are you doing like HTML,
Mm.
or
It's it's a TypeScript web application built using Next.js, TRPC, um, Drizzle as the ORM, using Tailwind for styling, uh, building on top of Radix components for accessibility. Yeah, probably a few other things there, but that's the gist of it. But it's a web application, progressive web application, meaning that you can save it to your home screen on your phone,
Mhm.
and it kind of acts like an app. It's just you get it from, you go to Safari on your iPhone or Chrome or whatever browser you have, and you just add it to your home screen that way. And it kind of, when you open it, it doesn't have any like the URL box at the bottom or whatever. And then it just kind of, it's like an actual application. Um,
all right, that's cool.
and yeah, I just work on that when I can, and it's good. Right now, it's just, yeah, my has my Whoop data. I log my body weight on there every morning, and then it has like these DEXA scans, body scans, which track like muscle mass and body fat percentage and all that fun jazz, bone density. So I want to add my blood test to those too. That's like,
So
yeah.
do you enjoy doing the front end stuff or the back end stuff more?
Just talking to Sarah about this, I actually enjoy the back end a little bit more because I'm not super creative. So the front end, it feels more like this problem. It's almost like when you're starting a new project and you don't know how you're gonna get there, and you're
Mhm.
just like looking at it and you're just like, this feels a little overwhelming. I don't know exactly how I want to build this interface, what I'm gonna like, how I'm gonna like to use it. The back end's a little clearer. It's like I know I need to get this data here at some frequency, at some process. I just have to write the code to do it and organize the code. It's a little bit more like there's a clear start and finish. With front end, there's not a clear start and finish. There's a lot more things you have to think about. You know, it's both it's both making it look good and also making it user friendly and also predicting how you're going to use it and how it's going to be most useful. And that's not always, it's not hard. It's just I don't enjoy it as much because it also takes a lot longer. So,
Yeah.
but it's overall fun. I mean, I enjoy it all. Like I'll spend 3 days trying to make a little toggle that I just literally spent like all last week creating a toggle where it's like you can either view your data from like a day view, a week view, a month view, or a year view, and then below that there's like a toggle that's like a date picker or a week picker or a year picker or whatever. And I just spent like a week, a few hours each day, whatever, trying to like make that exactly how I wanted it to be, and just kind of screwing around with that. So um, I enjoy it though. I love it still. I look forward to sitting down with a cup of coffee in the morning and doing some coding.
Love that. I might have to talk to you. I've got some ideas for an app, so I might have to talk to you. But
Sounds good.
um, but yeah, Ryan, thank you very, very much for coming back on. I believe you are now officially our most frequent guest.
Who am I
So
competing with?
Ashley. So she's the friend or one of the friends that I always go up to visit in Chicago. So she's been on 2 or 3 times. So I don't think she's been on 4. So you're tied for the first.
At least tied. All right, good to know.
So
appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks a lot.
So thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time. If you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcasting app or YouTube to make sure you don't miss any future episodes. Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Getaway Day Pod. If you enjoy card collecting, check out our sister YouTube channel at Getaway Day Cards.